To put it simply, winning in the NBA is really hard. When you get a window of opportunity to make moves that'll help you do so, it can be difficult to pass that opportunity up, even if it comes with a bit of risk, because nothing in the future is ever guaranteed at this level. The Chicago Bulls know this all too well, and unfortunately for them, they're learning the hard way that going all in doesn't always come with fruitful results. This brings us to the topic of today's video, where we'll be looking at the predicament that the Bulls currently find themselves in, where they fully intended on building a team capable of making a deep playoff run, but now they seem to be stuck in the realm of mediocrity with no way out. We'll go over what got them to this point, the reality of where they are now, and where they could and should go from here. Before we start though, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, PrizePicks. As the new NBA season continues on, PrizePicks is the best and easiest way to play daily fantasy to stay engaged on the excitement. This week, PrizePicks is also giving you an incredible offer for the Thanksgiving football games, where they have lowered Justin Jefferson's receiving yards line down to 0.5, meaning the best wide receiver in football needs just 1 yard on that day for that space to hit, giving you as close to a free space as it gets. You can also mix and match sports, so you can take advantage of that special offer while combining it with NBA spaces, choosing between points, rebounds, assists, three-pointers made, fantasy points, and more. I'm personally going with the Jefferson special, Kevin Durant's Taco Tuesday special space reduced points line, and De'Aaron Fox over on threes. By going down to the link in the description of the video and using promo code REFERENCE when you sign up, you also get a deposit match bonus of up to $100. Once again, thank you to PrizePicks for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to the topic at hand. Despite the obvious tone of this topic being one of disappointment, you do have to give the Bulls some credit. In a league where most teams are either piling up draft picks and rebuilding for years, or giving up everything they have to bring in superstar talent, the Bulls tried instead to construct a balanced roster with the assets that they had at their disposal, and for a brief period last season, it looked like their plan was working. When the Bulls acquired Zach Levine in the trade where they shipped out Jimmy Butler all those years ago, he was just 22 years old, but it didn't take him long to emerge as a legitimate star talent. In his second season in Chicago, he was averaging 24 points per game. That number increased in each of his next 2 seasons, and it became apparent that Levine was ready for a playoff push. The problem, though, is that the Bulls were one of the worst teams in the East in each of Levine's first 4 seasons with the team, and everyone knew that Levine was growing impatient with the rebuild and the lack of steps being taken to get them back into contention. Last season was the final year of Levine's prior contract, so if the Bulls didn't act quickly and show him that they could be aggressive and make moves to help him and the team move forward, then he very well may have left in free agency, forcing them to start from square one again. This led them to the first big move that, at the time, seemed like a major splash pushing them forward, but in hindsight has just drastically shortened their window. Midway through the 2021 NBA season, the Bulls approached the trade deadline having another subpar year with a record of 19 wins and 24 losses at the time. Seemingly out of nowhere, they then pulled the trigger on a trade where they acquired then All-Star Nikola Vucevic in exchange for Wendell Carter Jr., Otto Porter Jr., and a pair of first-round picks. At the time, Nikola Vucevic was averaging about 25 points and 12 rebounds per game while shooting the lights out, making 48% of his shots and 41% of his threes, and he was named an All-Star for the second time in his career that season, so obviously the hope was that pairing Levine with an All-Star big man would propel them forward. Unfortunately, Zach Levine caught COVID late in that season, and they didn't even make the play-in tournament, so the duo barely got time to build chemistry together, at least that season. The offseason after that year is when the Bulls really got started getting aggressive, as they went out and then acquired DeMar DeRozan in a sign-and-trade deal, and they also went out and acquired Lonzo Ball, giving the team a new look with a well-balanced roster top to bottom. Early on, their plan was working perfectly as well, as they were sitting in first place in the Eastern Conference standings for a significant portion of last season, but as we now approach the reason why this video is being made, we have to point out an important lesson to learn from all of this. Superstar talent gives teams a margin of error that can be overcome, and the Bulls just simply did not have that level of talent. The Nuggets, for example, could still have a solid season last year despite missing both Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. because Nikola Vucevic is good enough as a superstar on his own to do so. Another example of this is Joel Embiid being able to keep the 76ers afloat last season prior to the James Harden trade, while Ben Simmons was holding out because he, too, is good enough as a legitimate superstar talent. When the Bulls started suffering injuries last season and key guys missed time, they fell off of a cliff, going from 1st to 6th in the standings and barely put up a fight against the Bucks in the first round of the playoffs. Lonzo Ball missed over half of last season due to injury. He hasn't played at all this season due to injury. Nikola Vucevic went from a productive all-star to a league average big man at best. DeMar DeRozan has come back down to earth this season after his MVP level campaign a year ago. Zach Levine's production has taken a hit since his return from his injury and sickness, and all of a sudden, coming back to the present, we're looking at a team sitting in 11th place in the Eastern Conference standings right now, with no real way back to the top, and already frustration is mounting. A recent loss to the Orlando Magic summarized their predicament almost poetically. Zach Levine, who just signed a max contract extension with the team this offseason for 5 more years, got benched in crunch time because he was having a poor shooting night, and after the game, he let his frustrations be known about this situation, saying, "I got to do a better job at the beginning of games to make my shots, but you play a guy like me down the stretch. That's what I do. Do I like the decision? No. Do I have to live with it? Yeah." The Magic, of course, are the team that the Bulls traded with to get Vucevic, and now Wendell Carter Jr., who they traded for him, very well may be the better player right now, so the Magic came away better in the long run by a long shot, while also getting a pick that they used to draft Franz Wagner, and another pick of the Bulls that they get to use this year. The Bulls, meanwhile, are trending in the wrong direction. DeRozan is 33 years old, Vucevic is 32 years old, Lonzo Ball's health makes him a risk moving forward, and the Bulls have a lot of money tied up into this core of players. It's exactly why teams rebuild until they find a superstar talent to build around, because the alternative is more often than not mediocrity. The Magic, on the flip side, very well may have found that talent in Paolo Banchero, so now him, along with the assets that the Bulls gave them, are starting to form a strong young core that will blossom over the next few years. So where do the Bulls go from here? Well, there is no easy answer. Continuing down this same path is just embracing the middle of the pack, and for all of the moves made and money spent, that's just not good enough. On the flip side though, selling off their aging players for assets to prepare for a rebuild would be a slap in the face to the fans who stuck around year after year in the build-up to this team, when they were finishing in the bottom 3 of the East consistently, so blowing it up again less than 2 years into this experiment isn't feasible in the real world. The most likely outcome is that they'll just end up being an example for other teams to learn from, specifically what not to do, when trying to contend. They tried to go a route less traveled, but in the end they learned that there's a reason why most teams don't go this route when trying to build a championship winner. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about the Bulls moving forward. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.